it is 6 o'clock. We have a few attendees in already, and I'm sure a few more will trickle in. But this is recorded, so I think we should start on time. So everyone that's here right now, welcome into our first live with D25. I'm going to be your host, Adam Harris. I'm the head of communications and storytelling for the district. I like being a host, so I'm excited to do this. And my first guest, and for the foreseeable future, a guest on Live with D25 is going to be our superintendent, Dr. Lori Bynes. So first, I want to say, Dr. Bynes, thanks for joining us and for being willing to do Live with D25.
My pleasure. Thank you, Adam, for setting it up.
I can't hear you for some reason. So let's see. Try again, Dr. Bynes.
Can you hear me now, Adam?
I can't. So maybe log back up and come back in, maybe. We'll try that. It'll give time for some people to pop in. Okay. Let's see. I guess other people heard her. So we'll see if this works if she jumps back in. Anyways, technical difficulties, but we have a full hour. And so, welcome to everybody that's popped in. All right. Hi, Dr. Bynes.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, 100%. I can hear you. Okay, great. So why don't we just kind of start back over? So welcome to Live with D25. We're going to be going for 1 hour. This is the first Live with D25. I'm your host, Adam Harris. I'm the head of communications and storytelling for District 25. Dr. Bynes is my guest today and our guest for the foreseeable future. Dr. Bynes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Adam, for facilitating this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so let's touch on what this is first for people out there that are watching the recording, which we are recording this, or anybody that's on right now. Live with D25 is just another opportunity for us to kind of open our doors to our community, which we always strive to do. Another opportunity for us to connect with everyone out there in the community. The world of COVID has kind of opened up this as a possibility in our heads. It's always been there, but with everything that's come with COVID, this is something that a lot of people are taking advantage of. So I think it's fun that we can do this with our community and the world of District 25. The point of this is and the way it's going to be structured is Dr. Bynes or my guest or me will kind of give like a state of the district type update, what's going on in the district, because this stuff is ever changing as we've seen over the past year. I will ask some questions. I'll facilitate some conversation. Things will pop up. I'm a curious individual, so I know I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. And I know everyone out there is going to have questions as well. So we welcome those in the chat. You can submit your questions to the panelists, which are me and Dr. Bynes. I'm going to be able to comb through those while Dr. Bynes is answering questions and talking, and I'll be able to facilitate some questions, and Dr. Bynes is going to be able to answer them. And again, I don't know, I love doing this type of stuff. I'm excited that we're able to kind of connect to the greater masses of District 25 and really try and open our doors even more, have another opportunity for that as well. Dr. Bynes has open doors that she does once a month on Tuesday afternoons as well. Those are in-person opportunities too. So if something on here doesn't totally address what you're asking, or if there's something that you still feel like might be missing, I mean, I know that I'm open via email, Dr. Bynes open via email and phone and in-person appointments. So feel free to take advantage of all of those opportunities as well to connect with us, because really the goal of what we're doing here is to just partner with everyone out there and just make sure that everyone feels like they're along for the ride with us, and they're as informed as they want to be with what's going on. Because this past year has been a year of constant change, and so with that comes stress and confusion and all that, and we really don't want that. So I'm excited that we're going to do this as another opportunity. So Dr. Bynes, is there anything you want to say to add on to what I've said, or anything you want to say so far?
No, that sounds great, Adam. And I'm sure you'll review, or I'll just say it now. We're going to do this every week at least through the month of May. And I believe it's on the district calendar if you go on our website, because we're doing it on different days at different times to try to meet people's schedules. So, spread the word, or if you think of something at a future meeting or a future live with D25, feel free to pop on at any time.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And if like you're watching the recording and something comes up for you and you're like, oh, maybe they can address that in the next one, shoot me an email. My email is aharris@sd25.org, aharris@sd25.org. And I'm happy to kind of archive those questions and help facilitate the discussion in the future. So the schedule's up on our website. I'll be Facebooking them out and tweeting them out as well the week of. So I think that covers it, live with D25. And I think I'm ready to start asking you some questions. You ready, Dr. Bynes?
Great, absolutely.
Okay. So the transitional model of reopening, that's been something that we've spoken about at, I believe, every single board meeting since last July, or almost every single board meeting since last July. And the reason we've done that is because there are constant updates to that transitional model. But it was a 4-step process. And as we communicated out yesterday, there's now a 4.5, step 4.5, right? Can you just kind of recap, bring us up to speed? Where are we as a district, and where are we moving towards in our relationship to COVID and learning in the classroom?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Like you said, we've added 4.5, just like the state of Illinois added a bridge step. Again, as a result of constant changing information and needing to be fluid and adjust. So 4.5 starts on April 26th, Monday, April 26th. Basically, that is 5 days of full in-person instruction, typical schedule for our schools, or 5 days of remote for those who choose to do that. So families should have received yesterday one more opportunity to make a selection of changing to in-person or changing to remote. We've seen families do both each time we've had a selection process. So we expect this will be the last selection process, pending any really unusual information that happens with the pandemic. So that as of April 26th, we'll be on a more typical school year schedule. Our students that are choosing to stay remote or switching to remote, that will continue to be a live stream in process. So our teachers will continue to work with both groups simultaneously through the rest of this school year. And step 4.5 takes us through the last day of school this year. Summer school is our typical summer school format. So anybody that still wants to sign their students up for summer school, you can do that through the end of April. Summer school is 5 half days, so 5 mornings. And in case people didn't learn about it before, you can sign up your students, currently kindergartners through 7th graders, for any support course for free. There's no cost this year. We're using some of the federal funding to cover the costs of summer U. So those types of classes are when kids could benefit from some extra review in reading, in math. There's even some typing review courses. And then we move to the new school year, 2021, 2022. And that at this point is we are fully planning for a typical school year, typical hours. We may have some of the things in terms of PPE, if still required by the Centers for Disease Control. The only thing that we still need to figure out for next year at this point is exactly if we'll have a remote learning option or not. If we have a remote learning option, it will be a separate situation next year. So what some call a remote academy. So it would be separated from our in-person instruction. Currently, the Illinois Department of Public Health and the State Board of Education requires that we have a remote option moving forward for students who are have higher health risks or who live with people who have higher health risks. And so if that stays the same, we will offer a remote option for those students in the fall. We are expecting some updated guidance any day now.
Okay.
And we believe that will also address remote learning. And so as soon as we have that, we'll be able to communicate our plans in terms of remote learning for the next school year. But in-person learning will follow a more typical school year schedule.
Okay. That's going to be here sooner than we probably think.
Yeah.
I heard you say that today when you were talking to someone in your office, and you were just like, I think August is going to get here. Like it always does, right? It always gets here quicker than we anticipated. But yeah, okay, I understand. So I've written down a couple things that I think I want to tackle with you. One of them is summer school for sure. I think like that's really interesting. Next year and remote 100%. So then the switch form, let's stay with like the next couple months here. So the switch form that closes tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So Friday at 7 o'clock, if you're wanting to switch from in-person to remote or remote to in-person for the remaining of the school year, beginning Monday, April 26th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I also just kind of want to throw out there, because I've been working with our Department of Tech and like all the departments here and also all the principals on these switch forms. Like, I just for me, like to my principals, like, thank you so much for everything you guys have been doing. Cause like, you know, those switches come in and it's in a bunch of different, you know, Google Sheets, and they're able to kind of like get it all, and the admin assistants at the buildings. I just want everyone to know, like, top down, like people at the buildings are working really, really hard to make sure that kids are getting to where their parents and guardians want them to be. So that's really exciting. That's been cool to see. Okay, so more typical schedule. Mondays, typical Tuesdays. It's all the same, right? Across the week. That's what the schedule looks like starting Monday, the 26th.
Yeah, the only thing is that sometimes at our middle schools, they have a advisory. I know at Thomas Middle School, for example, they have one day a week that's an advisory schedule.
Okay.
And in past years, that's been on Thursdays. Now it's on Mondays, but that's typical to a typical year. It might just be a little different schedule than the other days of the week. But in terms of start time, end time, that's all the same.
Okay. You mentioned guidance coming out. Where are we expecting guidance from?
Yeah, the Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Public Health have been partnering and giving guidance to school districts and parochial schools across the state of Illinois. And that started last March of 2020 and has continued. And we are told that we will get guidance about the next school year, about 21-22. Sometime this month.
Okay. And the things in question are, will there be a remote option required of schools, right? That's still up in the air. And if there is a remote option required, is it going to be open to everybody, or is it going to be open to people that have a medical circumstance or are living with someone with a medical circumstance?
Yeah, so not quite, Adam. Already recently in the past, I don't know, 3 weeks or so, they provided some guidance that said moving forward. So currently, moving forward, remote option must be available for students who have a higher health risk or who live with someone with a health risk. What we don't know is, will that requirement carry over to the new school year? Or will the new guidance be that remote is an option for school districts to offer, but not required by the state? So currently, right now, it is required that we offer a remote option for students who have that health risk.
Okay. That makes sense. And what's interesting to me, just a thought I just had, and if you want to comment, you can, but I was thinking like, so guidance comes out, right? And that's guidance as of mid-April 2021, right? And then, you know, late July of 2021, who knows what happens with COVID or the pandemic, or new guidance might come out. There's always that possibility, right? So right now we are planning for what we are anticipating the year to look like. but as new guidance comes out, what is that process like? I guess if we can like just open the doors a little bit to what happens here as new guidance comes out, like you hear of it, and then we as a team hear of it, and then we start looking at what it looks like, and then we start figuring out how would this change what we've got in place. Like, I don't know if you can paint a picture for how that kind of happens when new guidance comes out.
Yeah, it's changed over the year, just like everything in life has changed for students and parents and workers and everybody. But more recently, I'd say in the last 6 months or so, guidance comes out, and we see it when everybody else sees it, right?
Right.
We see it when it goes public to everybody.
Okay.
And you're right, there are administrators here are combing through it to understand all of it. What typically happens is I'm also meeting with all area superintendents. We meet at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, whether there's new guidance or not. We've been meeting throughout the entire time, just to share ideas with each other, to share updates with each other, to ask questions, to share resources. And so when new guidance comes out, we schedule an extra meeting to make sure that we've all interpreted the same. The state also then within a couple of days has webinars. Both the Illinois Department of Public Health has webinars and the State Board of Education that superintendents and often assistant superintendents are a part of, where they talk through what their intent of that guidance is and answer any questions. And often we have a lot of questions on behalf of our schools. And so they take all of that in and they follow up with a FAQ. So they've had a running FAQ document going since last March of 2020, and that gets updated every week or so, and so that things can be clarified. And so then back here in District 25, like other districts, we then see what adjustments we are required to make, what adjustments are requested through the guidance. So some things are mandatory, some things are suggestions,
Gotcha.
some things are best practice. And we then must be in contact with our local health department. So for us, the Cook County Department of Health, and inform them how we are interpreting any of the medical guidance that comes through those documents, make any adjustments we need to make, and communicate that out to our families and get those in place as soon as we can.
Yeah. What I'm hearing also is just like, it's just a lot of reading, taking in information, interpreting it, internalizing it, making sure it's best for District 25, best for the kids, best for the communities, making a decision, putting it together in a package, and then delivering it to our community. A lot of stuff. I mean, it's a lot of layers, right? That I think it's just an important lens to kind of throw out there, like that this stuff happens where the community sees things. I think something that was interesting to me that I don't know why I didn't realize it, but like community see things as we see things. And then we're putting them into place into the classroom. And so I just think that's just an interesting thing to kind of talk about.
Yeah, and that's changed over time. Originally, Adam, school district superintendents especially would get the guidance first from the state and the health department, and we would then be trying to interpret it and send it out to the families. I think it's been kind of helpful actually that the guidance now just gets published for all to see.
Yeah.
So I think that's helpful for people that want to go through and look at it at that level. And really it's just like everything we're experiencing as parents in our homes, right? As consumers, as people living during a pandemic, we all are getting different information as parts of our lives and having to figure out how we adjust our lives due to that.
Well, thank you for answering all those. I think I want to move on, unless do you think that there's anything left unsaid about the rest of this year?
No, I think I will just add, and some 8th grade parents know this, we are planning for 8th grade graduation this year different than we had last year. Thanks to District 214 and Dr. Schuler, the superintendent, reaching out to all of the area districts and saying, we will reserve some time for you guys to use our outdoor facilities so you can have graduations. So I know that South and Thomas have been communicating that to our 8th grade families. And we will have an outdoor graduation at Buffalo Grove High School for Thomas, and at Rolling Meadows High School for South. And then they're also both, this is, at some point we'll look back and find all the good in this, and they're finding some of that good. They're continuing something they did last year. They're continuing the 8th grade parades where they get to drive by the schools as well, right? Because it ended up being something that we did because we couldn't have graduation, but it was such an amazing, wonderful experience. So there'll be that parade that occurs as well, which will be nice.
Yeah. Seeing our teachers relive their days as cheerleaders and DJs in parking lots was super fun for me. So, and I know the 8th graders enjoyed it, but yeah, it was really cool. Like it's been really fun for me as part of my job is storytelling to find the stories, which have not been hard to find, of teachers and staff and students like just making the best of this and really still finding that authentic connection with one another. That's been really fun.
Yeah, that connection is still there. It's a beautiful thing. And so, this early June will be an example of taking the best of both worlds, right? Having our more formal ceremonies that have been a long tradition at South and at Thomas, but also continuing that new experience of having the drive-by parades that were super fun as well.
That's awesome. Okay, Summer U. I'm gonna get the dates correct, so I'll just look at my calendar on our website. But Summer U is going to run from Wednesday, June 16th through Wednesday, July 14th. Okay, is this a different kind of Summer U this year? Is it different than normal, or is it pretty much the same?
No, it's really the same. The only change really is the location. We have had Summer U at South Middle School for many, many years. It's at Thomas this year, only because South is going to have some construction going on. And so we'll be utilizing Thomas for Summer U, but everything else about it is really similar to previous years.
Okay.
We'll also have on Wednesdays our food distribution that we've been doing, so food pickup. So that'll also happen at Thomas on Wednesdays, although outside of the Summer U hours, it happens before and it happens after. The only other thing happening there that overlaps is the Arlington Heights Park District will run their Camp Arlington again at Thomas. So basically that's a camp for students who typically are also in our Summer U, and Camp Arlington runs before, during, and after. And so that will be there as well. And there'll be some overlap. Camp Arlington will be there when food distribution is happening. So we may have a lot of people going in and out of the parking lots at Thomas during that month, but we look forward to it. And yeah, Summer U, again, registration is still ongoing. There was a wait list originally. We believe the vast majority of that wait list has now been absorbed into classes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, really, there's, I think, less than 20 students on a wait list, and we're confident we'll be able to pull them into classrooms soon.
That's good news.
So, but again, families still can sign up through the end of April.
And there's a lot of review classes, right? This year, that's not abnormal, is it? Like that's normal, right?
Yeah, it's thank you for saying that. No, it's the same. We have some enrichment, unique subject area classes, and we have lots of support classes for families who want their students to have a little more time reviewing, reading, or math, or some typing things. The only thing different is all of those review classes are free this year. If someone's taking one of those enrichment unique courses, there's still a tuition cost for that.
Okay.
But all of the other support courses are free due to the federal funding that we're getting. We'll be using that to offset the costs this summer.
Okay, that's great. So sd25.org/SummerU is where you can find all the information on SummerU. I know the principal of SummerU, Nick Filipowski, has done a great job managing that section of the website, putting together the brochure. He's been on top of it, and his assistant principal, Amy Harder. So yeah, that's at sd25.org/SummerU. You mentioned the food distribution. Just a quick shout out to them. I think we're at like 815,000 meals now that they've been able to distribute
Amazing.
since last March. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right?
absolutely amazing. And I think it's a lesson for all of us. They serve about 1,200 students every week who come through for food support here in Arlington Heights, right? We are very fortunate to be here. And as a school district, we feel very fortunate to be able to support our families and our students who need some extra assistance with food at this time. So if you haven't come before, but you want to, please just come. You'll get breakfast and lunch for the week for anybody 18 years old or younger.
I know that the other day I was like, I do not want to go to the grocery store. I did not have time. So I kind of wish I could have gone through the food distribution on my bike and grabbed a couple meals. But yeah, it's some, yeah, what?
They have anybody who comes, they have great options, kid friendly and kid healthy. Breakfast and lunch. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to do anything but pull in the parking lot. It'll be loaded in your car. And we are so happy to be able to help. So please don't be shy if that would support your family at this time.
Yeah, 100%. They have that process down to science. It's a machine there. So they got music playing. It's a fun environment. So yeah, that's really something to celebrate, and that's exciting.
And that'll continue. I think it's through late July. So that'll go all summer through at least late July at this point.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah. Shout out to our food services department, 100%. Okay, so let's just recycle here. Just let everybody know that this is Live with D25. I'm Adam Harris. I'm the head of communications and storytelling. My guest today and for weeks in the future, Superintendent Dr. Lori Bynes, which it's awesome that she's able to give us time. I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning, but it's as good as time as any. We're going to be going till 7. So each one of these will be 1 hour long. They're recorded and they will be posted online. And I'll shoot them out on our social media pages as well, Twitter and Facebook. Submit your questions into our chat. I'm happy to comb through them. And how about, okay, there's a question I have about next year. And I'm not sure if we have an answer to it yet, but we'll see. So if like in-person students for next year are sick, what, like if they need to quarantine or I don't know, like whatever the standards are, is there a thought or plan on what we would do with those children? Would they be able to remote into the remote academy, their own classroom? How would that work? And we might not have an answer to that right now.
Yeah, we're still making a final decision on that. I can tell you that most likely if they're just sick, they will go back to our typical procedures of when you're sick, where you want them to rest and get healthy. And we'll be able to catch them up when they return, or after a few days, provide some work for them to do at home. If we have students who have to quarantine due to the pandemic, we're still working out the details of that. We have lots of capabilities now. We just want to make sure that whatever we do put in place for the fall is sustainable. So we haven't determined that yet. But we always will have our old procedures available where you can always, pick up some work and they can do that from home and get caught up when they return. And before the fall, we'll determine about if we will live stream in, if we'll join remote courses or how that might happen.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, let's see. Oh, we just gotta thank you for showing up from someone. So that's nice.
That's
It's not a
nice.
question, but
You know, Adam, just to give some people a heads up. So registration for next year,
Hmm,
typically, I think we're going to start it early May. It's usually, I think it's May 3rd this year. And like in the past, families will get an email where they can then go online and register for the new school year. And they have an opportunity during that registration to join the PTA, to join ABC 25. And also something that'll be back next year that we haven't had this year. If a family does not qualify for free transportation, for free busing, but wants to sign up to pay for their child to ride a bus next year, they will have an opportunity at registration when they're doing that online to check a box that they'd be interested in paying for transportation. They won't pay for that up front. But because we have to see what the capacity limits are on buses through the health department for the fall, but they could express their interest and then we'll reach out to them and let them know if that's available and send an invoice for that at a later time. So
okay.
this year, you know, we did stop paid ridership because we had a limited capacity on buses and because as we change from different transitions along the way, not knowing how many more students would be joining the buses. But next year we do plan to allow for paid ridership again, once we know what our bus capacities are. So people will see the opportunity to check that box if they're interested.
Okay, that's awesome. So I'm hearing you say when people are registering to look for that checkbox to say I'm interested in paying for transportation next year. Okay, that's a really good heads up. I was going to move on to the strategic plan.
Okay.
Do you think that's a good time to do that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. So really exciting. I was a part of the process as well. You presented on the strategic plan at the March 18th board meeting, and then it was just approved at the April 8th board meeting, which was really exciting. Got some applause from the audience, which was cool. I guess, what did you think of that process? Was this one any different to you than past strategic plan processes, or how has this one landed for you?
Yeah. So this is the second strategic plan I've been involved in District 25. I've been involved in many throughout my career. And both of the ones here have been really fantastic. Different in structure, but the same in that it involved members of all constituency groups. So this year we had, you know, parents, we had teachers, we had administrators, we had community leaders. We had high school students who were graduates of District 25. And I know I've said it before, but their input really was really tremendous.
It was.
They did an amazing job being a part of this process. So it was a long process, but really a highlight for all of us that participated, because everybody took it so seriously. We got to know different people in our community, and we got to work on a common goal, and really felt good about the work that we were doing. And as you know, there were a couple of opportunities that you facilitated for our work to go out to the community to give some input. And then the strategic plan team would meet after that and take that input and make some changes and review comments and thoughts. So it was really a great process. And our last strategic plan that we just completed, one of the things we were really proud of is the state, when they audit the school district every 5 years, one of the things the state highlighted was our strategic plan, and that they could see the strategic plan being implemented when they visited schools. They could see our goals and they could measure them. And so they wrote a really nice response to the board about that when they were here last. And that's kind of our goal going into this one, that this becomes a living piece of how we operate. I really liked, I think it was President Brian Cerniglia who said something the other night about it's going to become a part of our DNA. Right? Both the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative and how it's woven throughout our strategic plan. And he's exactly right. This strategic plan now is basically our marching orders. It's the Board of Education saying, here's our vision, here's our mission, here are the broad goals we have for student learning, for staff satisfaction and growth, for community connection, for the use of our resources, for the stability of our facilities. And now we take that and we make it practical, and we put some things in place, thanks Adam, to that people will be able to see what we're working on. And so the next really big step about this, we've been working on this, of course, at a district level all along the way, and especially as we started to bring it to the Board of Education. So we're working here to look at each of these 5 goals. And we have a goal champion, so someone who will be in charge of all of the work related to that goal. And soon, probably somewhere in the later half of May through the summer and the fall, we'll be advertising out the creation of action teams for each of these 5 goals. And those action teams will include, again, representatives of our community. So we'll be looking for parents. We'll be looking to make sure we represent elementary, middle school, early childhood. We'll be looking to make sure we represent all of our schools and all geographic areas of our district. We'll, of course, need teacher and staff input on those teams as well. So that information will be communicating out what our process is to determine those teams so that everybody's aware. Teams will tend to be more like a 10-person team, I would imagine, but that could fluctuate. But our community will have a sense of how we're doing that, how to apply to be on a team. They'll know who's on the team so they can see the representation that's occurring. So that's the next big step. And then those teams will determine for our goal and the strategies that are listed under our goal, what do we need to do? So what activities and what things do we need to implement? And the other thing they'll determine is, and how are we going to measure that we're growing in that area? How are we going to measure that we're having success or we're making improvements, especially as each of their goals aligns with our mission and our vision? And so that'll be kind of the charge of those action teams. And we'll be also presenting to the Board of Education, probably in late May, our ongoing timeline. So when the board will hear updates on goal 1, on goal 2, on goal 3, and those will continue over the life of this plan, which goes through the 24-25 school year. And again, that'll be something that everybody could see. Oh, at this meeting, they're going to be talking about an update on goal 1 and what's happening. And at the next meeting, an update on goal 2 and what's happening. So we'll be continuously communicating the process that we're going through. So even if someone is not a member of an action team, as a member of our broad community, they'll be able to see what's occurring in that area.
It was a great process.
It is. It's really an important process. It really, the group that spent, 5 months and many, many meetings together, they've set the vision and the goals for the district for the next several years. It's a really important thing that we do, a really important directive from the Board of Education on giving us a direction on where to go. And it's an exciting thing to now make happen.
Why don't we review what these are? So we have our vision and our mission and our motto
Yeah, so
Together
that's,
today,
this is
transform tomorrow.
exactly, this is the motto that the group came up with. And I'll say, Adam, thanks to you and Tom Reesing, a District 25 parent, for creating this visual for us. Our motto will be together today to transform tomorrow. And if you scroll down a little bit, even a little further, oops, sorry, you'll see our mission.
Hang on a
That's all
second,
right.
sorry.
It likes to
Let's go
skip
up here.
pages. There you go. The mission that we will continue to refer to, and we need to make sure as we work on our goals that they align with this mission. Our mission is to empower an inclusive, diverse community of learners to innovate and thrive as global citizens. And so we want all of our students and actually all of our learners as adults to learn to be innovative and to be able to thrive into the global world that we are all a part of. And so everything that we do will support this overall mission as we move forward. And then you'll see our vision on the screen, also our values the committee came up with and the community got to comment on. The core values that will drive our behaviors in all things that we do moving forward. So you'll see us, we're just getting up and running, but you'll see us start to communicate about this more, start to weave it into everything we do as we move forward with our students and again, with all adults in our community.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to, I love that you just said that last part, because when I was working with Tom Reesing, who's a District 25 parent, he's helped us out with our logos and different things. He's really fun to work with. And when I initially was talking to him about creating a visual for this plan, and as I was a part of it, a word that I like really loved that is an undervalued word, I think, is this idea of together. And we were trying to encompass everybody in the community, right? Like representing people's hands all in, whether you're a student, teacher, staff member, accountant, business owner, local business owner, whoever you are in this community, like people go through our school district all the time, and we just wanted it to be everybody's plan. And everybody is going to practice compassion, empathy, inclusivity, diversity, equity, social justice, innovation, creativity, collaboration, communication, resilience, and perseverance. That's something that we wanted to say, like everybody is able to practice this, not just our students, just our teachers, just our administration.
Yeah, absolutely. And you highlight the word together and I highlight the word community, right? This has been a great place to work. It's a great place to raise children. It's a great place to make connections from business to school and parents to teachers, and that by all of us being included and all of us being invited and all of us participating, that's what makes it only better for us to meet our mission and vision for our students.
Yeah, 100%. I think this town is very unique in that way. I grew up in a neighboring area, and I liked where I grew up a lot. But when I'd heard of Arlington Heights growing up, but then when I came here to work here, and then you okayed me to just sell my car and bike around, I really got to like know and feel the town. Like when you're biking around and you have to go through downtown, you have to go through all the side streets and see all the yard signs and see all the homes, like you get to really feel it. And it's this like island small town in between a bunch of different villages, and it is very unique here. It's hard to describe, but I love the idea of this being like everybody's plan.
Yeah, it's a good place to be for sure. And that it's also a nice timing for this plan, Adam, as we move forward, hopefully out of the pandemic, right? But as we move forward, this is also a time that we now will have a board reorganization, right? We have a new board member joining the board. Greg will be seated at the April 29th meeting. And it's kind of nice timing that he'll join the board in the very early steps of this strategic plan. So he, along with his board colleagues, will continue to have some accountability over us on making sure that we're moving forward, and provide their input or any suggestions on redirection. And they'll represent, again, the whole of this community of Arlington Heights, parents, staff, community members, students, ultimately, as they help us go through this process. So it's kind of nice timing that the strategic plan is new, as we kind of embark on a new journey forward.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing point. It's something that the strategic plan team spoke about a lot while we were talking about creating this plan. Something that kept coming up was, it's really an opportunity to create a plan like this in the middle of a pandemic. Like, it was something that we were like, oh, this is not just, I mean, your run of the mill, like, let's go forward with creating a strategic plan. This was like, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We have the most perspective than we've probably had in our lives in a very long time. So how do we apply that perspective to this plan that is a lifeblood of a community, which is a school district? And I really enjoyed that process, because we, as a team, I noticed the team really not ignoring the pandemic and moving past it, using it as a way to propel us forward.
Yeah, it's a good plan, and we look forward to now taking it into action.
Yeah.
And ultimately, having a positive impact on our current students and students in the future.
Okay. Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left. Let's see, we did answer that one question, but I think it'd be nice to kind of just reiterate. We had a question from a parent asking about the selection of the strategic plan action team. So if you could just go over that again.
Yeah, we'll communicate that out once we finalize it, but we will need an action team for each of the 5 goals. And each of those action teams will look for representation, so that the entire district is equally represented, right? That we have parents from different schools. We have all of our schools represented. We have parents from elementary, parents from middle. At least one of our goals, probably more, we'll be looking for parents who have children who are served in our student services department, parents who have children who participate in our advanced learning programs. And again, teachers and staff and community members. So we'll have all groups represented. We can't have everybody who wants to be on an action team. You might have an action team then that has 100 and an action team that has 2, but we will make sure all groups are represented. And again, we will publish out to everybody how that process will work, so that everybody's aware of it, as well as who's on those teams when they get finalized.
I wanted to just bring up, because we touched on the strategic plan a lot. So hang on, let me prepare my screen to share what I want to share. But let's see, this is what I want to share. So here is our website, our homepage. And what I wanted to show was under our district, here's our mission and vision, and under About Us, which is great. And our strategic plan is sitting right here under About Us. It's on the left-hand side. You click on strategic plan, and the document that I just showed you is there. This part of the website is going to be built out further as we keep, as we put a timeline into place. I imagine we'll want to show how we're doing on that timeline as well. And then also, this was the website that was created as the strategic plan was being built. So if anybody wants to, take a Saturday or Sunday and deep dive into how we created this strategic plan and the process, it was actually really, really awesome. You just kind of click through these tabs. These are all the different steps. These are all the different documents and assignments and homework that people had and discussion that was made and notes that were taken. So this is how the plan came to be. And it's again located under the Our District and Strategic Plan section of our website. And that'll be continued to be built out as we keep going. Also, I guess now that I've got this up, might be a really good opportunity to just kind of show people, if you want anything COVID wise and you're on our district homepage, this is a great place to click. Our COVID hub, all the updates from Dr. Bynes, all the letters from the nurses, they're all archived right here with topics. So that's as convenient as possible, I guess. Our return to school plan, our metrics, our screener and dashboard, the food services and the numbers there if you want technology support. So things all COVID there. And then to recap any school board meetings and any of the recordings, the schedule and calendar, all that stuff is under our school board tab as well. So it's a really quick showing of the website a little bit. Dr. Bynes, is there anything that you want to hit again, or that you think that we might have missed, or is there anything on your mind that you kind of want to communicate out? We don't have any questions down there. Yeah, we don't have any questions right now, but
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe something I'll just put out as a call for help. We still are happy to hire additional people for summer university. While we have gotten a large staff in place and we do expect to be able to serve all the students that are signed up, we still are interested. Should we get some more teachers, we could make a few of those class sizes a little smaller. If you have a teaching certificate and live in the community, or we've reached out recently to students who are graduating as teachers this May. We're still hiring. So even though we have currently believe that we will have a placement for everybody who signed up, we're still hiring, and we'll make some smaller class sizes, which is always great for summer university, to really provide some small group time with kids. So please spread the word for that. Next year we'll look towards always, it's been one of the great things that happened again this year was the number of people that came up to help with supervision at recess and at lunch.
Yeah.
And so if you found that something that you enjoyed, we'd be happy to talk to you about assisting us in those areas for next year as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. It was, again, it was really uplifting to see. We did call for help a lot during the year, and parents and community members did answer, or like, honestly, speaking from my perspective too, if you can't necessarily, or you're unwilling, or you're not able to like physically help, like sharing the Facebook post, retweeting the tweet, like, I don't think you understand how much that does help. It's just, new eyes, new people seeing something like that. Who knows how it strikes someone, and they're like, you know what, I could go, or I would want to do that, or my nephew would be good at that, or whatever it is. Like, that is the beauty of social media. I really enjoy that connected aspect. So it was really, really awesome to experience the community like step up in that way.
Yeah, related to that, Adam, I want to make sure I don't forget the support of our PTA and ABC 25 Foundation, right? The ABC 25 Foundation is continuing all of their grants. We have some great innovative things that our teachers have been able to do because of that. The run will be happening soon, right? And the Get Burbed Run, I think it's April 24th, I think is that Saturday. You'll want to probably check the date for me on that.
24th.
Thank you.
Yep.
So that run is still happening. Such a great opportunity for families and for staff to come out and run a mile this year, or remotely run a 5K. Our PTA at each of our buildings, and our PTA council has continued to do all that they can to try to celebrate our students, to try to bring families together in safe ways.
Yes.
We are looking forward to a lot of still some of our traditional end of the year experiences for our kids, maybe in some different ways. but still celebrating them, and providing them some fun, unique experiences, like we typically do when we're celebrating the end of a year, and all that they've learned and all that they've accomplished and how much they've grown. So I know that with our PTAs, especially, our schools are still working on some of those great opportunities. Not everything can happen like it always has in the past, of course, but I think back to last June when we had all gone remote unexpectedly in March, and everyone was doing the best that they could. And then when we got together and said, well, let's still get together and celebrate and do some reverse parades, those were the most wonderful, wonderful experiences, for our kids, for our teachers. The number of times we heard, I love you, Mrs. So-and-so, and I love you too. And parents, teachers saying to parents, I love you. And what an incredible end of the year that was for a very unusual year. And so this year, I know everyone's dedicated to providing our kids some of those opportunities. They deserve to be celebrated. Our parents, what you've done this year, what I've done as a parent with my own children this year, I'm going to celebrate. And our teachers, I just have to say, since I have this opportunity, the level of instruction our teachers have provided in ways that they've never had to experience or do before, is above and beyond anything I could have asked, anything any of us expected. Whether we are in person or remote, whatever that format, our teachers still went above and beyond to make the instruction as impactful, to make the connections as strong as they possibly could. And I look forward to getting past the pandemic. I know everybody does. And I believe when we're able to look back, we will appreciate each other. We'll appreciate our parents. We will appreciate our principals and what they have done to keep schools running. And we will be so thankful for the connections our students and our teachers have continued to have. I'm not past the pandemic yet, none of us are, but I know when I look back, we'll see those things that our teachers have done and we've all done together as true blessings in our lives.
It's been our first pandemic.
And our last.
We did together. Last. It's something that we all have in common now. Like we all, no matter how old we are, or what our experiences or what our thoughts are on anything in the world, something that I have in common with that random person over there is we both experienced the COVID and are experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic. That's really.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, from a school district perspective, we will take this experience and we will, like we always do, figure out what we can learn from it, figure out what worked and what we should, right? We'll never be the same and we shouldn't be, but we'll be better. We'll be better emotionally. We'll be better resiliency wise. We'll be better academically in how we provide instruction. We'll be better at communicating. We brought parents right into our classrooms this year through Zoom. And that's something we might have all thought was awkward before, but we needed each other now, and it was very helpful. So we'll be able to look back and learn, and I know District 25 will be stronger and better, and I look forward to rebuilding the connections with our community and growing stronger together because of this experience that, like you said, we've all had together.
That's a great place to end. Thank you, Dr. Bynes. Really appreciate this. I love doing stuff like this. And I'm really happy that I have a superintendent that is open to doing stuff like this as well. That makes me really happy. So
thank you, Adam.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so recapping, this was recorded. So I hope you enjoyed it. And this is it's going to be posted on our website, thrown out on Facebook, thrown out on Twitter. Live with D25 edition 1 is in the books. Thank you for everyone that came and watched, and really thank you to the submitted questions. Like really, there is no bad question, like thank you so much for having the courage to ask it. I think that that's really, really important. And I hope you feel heard. And again, if you have any suggestions for this, aharris@sd25.org is my email address. If you have any potential questions for the next week's episode, which you can see on our calendar on our website, when that is, which actually, you know what? Sorry, hold on. I just want to tell people right now, I guess, for anyone that's still here hanging out, they want to know when it is. Let's see. Next week's is on Thursday at noon. So a good lunch special live with D25. So I hope to see you all next week. Dr. Bynes, I'll see you before then, but thank you so much. And now we just say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Have a good evening, everybody.